Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem.
Friday morning, everyone, and welcome to the new Maryland Jockey Club at Laurel Park for Today at the Races. I'm Dan Ullman, along with ace handicapper Keith Fustel, also ace Equibase chart caller.
Okay.
Keith, we've got ourselves a 9-race program, challenging card today. Let's take a look at our weather and track conditions, because the track is labeled fast, but as you can see, we had a little bit of rain last night.
We did, and there's some lingering rain, some precipitation in the area, so taking that little safe approach right now. Track is sealed. We'll see if they open this track up, and we'll keep you apprised of the situation. But right now, comfortable weather outside. We've got a little rise in the temperatures here the last couple days. It's welcoming for sure. But right now, fast and sealed. I mean, I don't even think we could go good right now.
And as we always say, keep an eye on the early races on the program, especially when there's been a little bit of precipitation. The track might retain a little bit of moisture. You might catch a little bit of a bias early in the card, and you can ride the wave to some big payouts later on in the afternoon. But let's kick things off with race number 1 on the 9-race program. We're going 3/4 of a mile. Non-winners at 2 life, 40,000 down to 32. This is also the first leg of our 12% value pick 5 wager. And of course, the value pick 5, the early one, has a low 12% takeout, 50-cent minimum bet, and it's a mandatory payout. So it's a really nice play, and you've got to play.
Oh, I do have a play. And again, these are challenging. So we give you a little structure here, a $36 ticket. And I'll kind of note some horses along the way in some of these pick 5s down the road of if you need to add or who I think you might want to add. But this is kind of like our, cost. I don't know, how would you say it?
Efficient.
Efficient. Yeah, I like that word. Value pick 5 with that 12% low takeout and a 50-cent minimum play. So race 1, we're going to kick it off. I like the 7 that was scratched. What's your big idea? If we can come back to that ticket, guys. I like the 1 Gourmet, and I like the 6 more. Thank you very much. Race 2, 3 deep with the 1, 3, and 7. Race 3. A couple key scratches out of the 4 and the 5. The 2 gray flannel balls I'll use along with Buoyant as the speed. Race 4, 2 deep as well. Our Avery Lynn, True Sunshine. Wrap it up in race 5 with 3 runners, the 4, the 5, and the 7. Some serious speed signed on in race 5. Looking for Lucked In to make that run from off the pace. We'll talk about that. We might have even a little Katie Voss stat for you in race 5. That's a look at that early value pick 5, $36.
Let's start things off with race number 1. Morning line favorite is the 6. More, 8 to 5. We have a replay, a video spotlight from More's most recent recent race. This is her first start out of the maiden ranks, and she might have aimed a little bit too high in this tough first level allowance. That being said, Keith, she is involved in a pretty solid pace.
Yeah, breaking down those internal fractions, Dan, 22-3, 46-2. Faster than Johnny French Fry, a multiple winner, a male, and very fast, who's been on a pretty good run here of late. So more caught in those fierce internals. Just a slight fade through the final eighth of a mile, losing about 2 lengths in that last eighth. Being said, this horse could go right to the front, I would think, in here, be pretty, assertive. Lady Ensign with some speed just to the inside. Gourmet, the one who we both have in the mix in this race, intrigues me a little bit because she's shown a turn of foot. If you go back on some of her races down in the Midwest, Churchill Downs, Ellis Park, last time out they took the rating tactics off the duel, just didn't follow through.
And they were going pretty fast at that race at Penn National, 45 and change to the half. Gourmet was up close to the pace that day and really was still hanging in there through the stretch. We have a trainer stat for the number 1, Gourmet, past year on the dirt. Second after a 60 to 180 day layoff. Wow. 31%. That's a giant return on investment.
Yeah, I just would have liked to seen a little bit more kick bet down to 5-2 at Penn. Had aim, just didn't quite follow through that outer post. Now moves inside. I think you're going to see Julio Hernandez, who's had some, success over the last year or so here in Maryland, to go ahead and be aggressive, get into this flow, maybe just get up there and eyeball the speeds. If a horse more wants to go cluck with some speed, even Lady Ensign, and set up shop just off the pace. But I think this shipper needs to be looked at seriously in the opener.
Lacey Gaudet entered 2 in here, scratched the 7. What's your big idea? We'll still go with the 2, Still Game, off of the claim. Forest Boyce had her choice of the 2, Still Game, and the 8, Midsummer's Eve. Depart, Still Game, but Still Game is a horse that I think turning back to 6 furlongs might help.
Agreed. Again, caught in a flow. It wasn't super demanding last time out at the 7/8. I think shortening up a furlong will help. I don't know if she's quite got the speed of some of these other ones. Could stalk and move into it. The intriguing horse we talked about, the real big mare, the 5-year-old, Midsummer's Eve. Forest Boyce goes here in a protect measure. In for 20, the 2 in life back in September. Just buried, backed up, eased, was a little keen early. But this is a mare that showed serious promise in her first couple of races. Interesting little protect move here for Tim Keefe.
We're both going to go with more in the opener and the opening leg of the 12% value pick 5, taking a little double drop in class from that allowance into this non-winners at 2 life claimer. The winner of that last race is a 4-time winner. Let's move on to race number 2. This is a non-winners of 3 life, $25,000 claimer down to 20. Scratch the number 6, Kilo Road. The one Feeling So Lucky is the 2-1 morning line favorite. And if you happen to get knocked out of the pick 5, good news. There's a 50-cent pick 4 beginning in race number 2.
Yeah, I like the pick 4s. That was my old classic right there, the early pick 4. We've adjusted. We'll bring them back on occasion. Early pick 4, middle pick 4, just trying to help you get that value, and especially with that lower takeout for the early pick 5, the late pick 5. Those are races you really want to sink your teeth into. But if you knocked out early, you come back late and jump onto the pick 4s. But Dan, I go inside with Feeling So Lucky. The scratch of Kilo Road maybe hampers the chances a little bit because I thought she was going to be part of the pace flow. But returning back to Laurel, really didn't get involved at Penn. See what Gourmet does in the opener. She was out of that same race. Feeling So Lucky, it dropped down here a little bit lower to the 25. She likes Laurel. She's run some big races from just off the pace, and Tori Alba gets along with her just fine.
I just think this horse was hurt by racing so wide last time out, breaking from post position 10's got to save more ground this time, breaking from the inside post. Not sure what she was facing, but you make a good point. Keep an eye on the horse in the first race, Gourmet, to see if that race is coming back a little bit livelier than it's been thus far. I agree with you that Feeling So Lucky might be the best closer in the race. I might go with a horse that could be the best speed, and if not the best speed, a horse that'll be in the thick of things turning for home. That's the number 7, Lottie Dino. And Lottie Dino looked good last time out. Now, I know it was against weaker claimers. This is a double jump up in class off the claim for Jose Magana, but I thought this horse ran pretty well. Broke sharp, tracked outside, made the lead, drifting in just a little bit in the stretch, but it was a comfortable performance, a good buyer speed figure, and from this outside attack post, again, figures to be in the mix from the start.
I think she's on all systems go. I think she's the speed of the speed now. Toledo going to try to go ahead and get her to relax. Magana was a trainer last year. They got hot on occasion, and he was kind of streaky. A little bit of a lull right now with some of the runners, but I think they're coming back, hinting at its return form. I think Lottie Dino's a player right from the get-go.
Let's move on to the 3, Conquest Dancer. And I didn't think this horse had the most comfortable trip last time out. It was a muddy track. It was a slow pace. She tried to make a wide move into the slow pace, and the race was won by a rail skimming winner that was up close. So I think Conquest Dancer had some things go against her that day. I don't mind her cutting back to 6 furlongs. I think she's tactical enough to stay in the mix.
I like who she keys up against when you really look at the competition. Balington came back to run okay, I think, against a little bit better field. Turning back is going to go ahead and enhance her run for this frock runner. Tyus Liapistine in a 5-2 morning line on the 3, Conquest Dancers. We move to the 3rd.
We move to the 3rd race. Keith went 1-3-7-4. I went 7-3-1-5. Going to the 3rd race, 20,000 down to 16,000. This is a race for 3-year-olds going a 1-turn mile with a long stretch. And we scratched the 4 Schrader, the 5 Riley's Rockstar. These are big scratches. The 6 Buoyant is now the morning line favorite now at 3-1. Buoyant's going to be tough because this horse has a lot of speed. And you have to figure is going to be up close to the pace first off the Gina Perry claim.
Absolutely. Just breaking down internals. It's one of the things I really kind of first look at, trying to envision how these races are going to shape up. Buoyant's a horse that carried the speed okay at a route of ground on the grass. Last time out, got chewed up in that pace, and they kind of get lucky here, Gina Perry. It's very capable off the claim. Second off the claim, comes back here, stretching out with a field that doesn't show that early lick. A good break for Buoyant, and I just think he goes a long, long way in here. I like these 1-turn miles. Get that position top of the stretch. If you catch a little bit of a breather around the turn, you let it out. They seem to slip away.
That's the key, and this horse really did not get a breather last time out, and I thought he was staying on well enough that makes me think the distance will be well within his scope. We do have a stat here on my top selection, the number 2, Gray Flannel Boss. Trainer Mark Schumann, 2 to 4 month layoffs, 3 for the last 13, a $3.11 ROI. Gray Flannel Boss has been freshened since December the 1st and is the exact opposite in terms of running style than Buoyant. This horse just doesn't get out of the gate very well, dropped so far behind in the Buoyant race 2 starts back, and Buoyant really was smoking that second quarter at 23.06. That might have actually helped Gray Flannel Boss a little bit, who came with a kick. This horse has to prove himself on dirt, but is getting Lasix for the first time. I think the freshening will help. If someone runs with Buoyant, I think Gray Flannel Boss will make some noise in the stretch.
Pretty sustained run. You see back on the chart here, 20 lengths out on that running line after a quarter of a mile. Still way back around the turn, but picked it up and worked down inside on the December the 1st, where it was a closer's kind of a lean, but down inside. I thought the wide was a little bit better when you were making those runs. This horse ran against it, I thought, through the stretch, but turned on willingly, back out here an extra furlong, looking for some pace help. I think this one would have liked to have seen Schrader stay in and keep Buoyant honest.
The 8 is Hello Sunshine, and maybe this horse will show a little bit of stretch-out speed under J-Rod for Anthony Pecoraro. Your 3rd pick, this horse has won 2 of his last 3 starts, just seems to be in very good form. It's all about how far he wants to go.
Exactly. I'm a little worried about that early move and a flattening, going into a little bit of a quicker flow possibly than some of those Penn National races. This is a jockey-trainer combo that you pay attention to, though. 6-2-8-7 for me in the 3rd.
Let's move on to race number 4, 5.5 furlongs, $7,500 claimer, down to 6,000. It is the first leg of the Chesapeake Pick 6, and it's also the first leg of a Pick 4. 50-cent minimum pick 4 in race number 4, and also the first leg of the Chesapeake Pick 6. We've got a lot of wagers here for race number 4, and it's a pretty good field.
Yeah, I'm going to look at this. Do we have a Chesapeake Pick 6 ticket up for anybody? I believe we do.
I don't believe we have a ticket, but we just have a wager. We're just pumping the wagers up today.
Okay, we're going to pump the wager.
20-cent Chesapeake Pick 6, 50-cent Pick 4, wide open field, race number 4. Let's talk about your top selection in here, the number 3, True Sunshine. We have a video spotlight.
I think this is a key situation right now. If this weather holds pat, and maybe they open this track up, I'm going to prefer True Sunshine a little bit more on a fast going than an off-going. I know this race was pretty good off the sloppy sealed surface back on the 28th. Was up there close, had to drop back, take back, and work around. Pino's Little Girl was just too good that day, was able to kind of get clear and go, but the effort is there for True Sunshine. These Kieran McGee runners are going well of late. I think she likes the flow. You've got some fast horses in here for that opening quarter, half a mile. Sultry Sally H, R. Avery Lane, Lady Serenity, Forgotten Gift. They all want to go. And here's that stat for Kieran McGee.
Kieran's been hot recently, December the 29th, January the 26th, 29% winners, a 229 return on investment. And the video spotlight perfectly captured the two key moments of the race for True Sunshine, who was forward lead in the early stages. I understand why Torre Alba wanted to take back. He thought there was going to be a duel, but the pace was not very fast. True Sunshine ended up getting some slop kicked in the face and then had to come very wide into a sharp gate-to-wire winner. We saw Pinot's Little Girl come back and run second in a $12,000 starter with a 66 buyer speed figure. So this is a very logical contender in here. I'm a little bit interested, however, in the 6, Fancy Princess. Fancy Princess, the last time she stepped at Laurel Park was 3 starts back. It was at this class level. She was 25 to 1. She got bumped a little bit at the start, pressed the pace, and she was pretty game to hold third. She easily outran her odds. I think her most recent race at Penn National was pretty good. They went quick the opening quarter mile, 22 and 2, and she was still battling along towards the end. You may not be familiar with this jockey, second-generation rider from Venezuela who's done well down there, still seeking the first win in North America. But Fancy Princess is a tactical sort, handles any kind of footing. I think the price will be right.
I don't think she's quite got the giddy up of a few other of these runners to her inside, but I was really surprised to see her outrun a horse by the name of R. Avery Lynn, our 2-horse a day of Mikey Gorham, up at Penn, was able to kind of go with her early, open up around the turn. Will those tables be turned today? I lean a little bit R. Avery Lynn. She's 7 for 9 in the money at Laurel. Hasn't gotten a win. She likes this distance. She doesn't mind a little bit of moisture. The barn's going well. Gorham-Mena combination. I think she can make a move from just off of it if she wants to, because I think Forgotten Gift is really going to go. And there's the one, the 4, that wants this track to come up sloppy.
And she wants to stretch out. 4.5 furlongs last time out is just too sharp. You go back to her races 2 and 3 starts back here at Laurel Park going 3/4 of a mile. She will show big speed. I think she is the speed of the speed. So take that last race with several grains of salt. We're going to take a commercial break. We will be back for the first leg of the 12% low takeout value pick 5.
To the city of Baltimore, to all the fans watching around the world, riders up!
They're off in the Preakness.
All eyes of the world will be on Baltimore.
They're head and head. Seabiscuit leads by a length. Seabiscuit is the winner.
And it was a powerhouse race again by the big, strong Secretariat.
Sunday Silence takes the lead at the quarter pole.
American Barrow, phenomenal in the Preakness.
And the filly did it! Rachel Alexandra! Here is Smarty Jones. He wins the Preakness by a dozen lengths.
She's the brave, wins the Preakness.
Welcome back to Today in the Races. Dan Ellman along with Keith Fustel getting set to kick off our second value pick 5. This is the late value pick 5, 50-cent minimum wager, 12% takeout. And we see we have a field of 9 after the scratch of the number 9, Air Speed. This is a 12,500 down to 10. And you see the late pick 5 now has carryover potential. So if there are a couple of prices in here, there could be a nice carryover into the Saturday card.
We've already had that happen once or twice this year. Mackenzie Pfeiffer on board again today with that 12% late value pick 5 ticket. We're going to go through it real quick here. $24 the total cost. Race 5, she's going to get you started. 2 deep with Maximus Speed and Stormy Hollow. Maximus Speed, we have a stat coming down the road for that, and we'll get to in a second. It's going to be an awfully short price here for Brittany Russell. 2 deep in race 6 with the 1 Stately Order. I like that value there in the 4 Minister for Magic. Looking to turn things around. Off the claim here for Kieran McGee. Race 7. 3 deep with the 3, 5, and 7. Secret Zipper, really good in latest. Can he repeat that effort? Looks like a serious contender up front here for Gary Capuano. Race number 8, 2 deep, wrap it up here with the 1 and the 2. Murray, Mr. Antonelli, I like those 2 in there. And race 9 with the 3 and the 7 key stat. Malibu out of that same race. Shippers coming in to try to dominate the nightcap. $24 for that value late pick 5.
But you mentioned the horse that's likely to take a ton of money in the first leg of the value, 12% pick 5, and that's the 5, Maximus Speed.
Oh, yeah.
It's Brittany Russell taking a big drop in a maiden claimer, and we have big stat for Brittany Russell. Maidens dropping at least 50% in claiming price. 19 for the last 36, a positive return on investment. This one was entered for $45,000 last time out. Had the misfortune to face Jazeel, who came back to run third in a state-bred allowance race with a 78 buyer speed figure. Now Brittany's dropping this one down to 12.5, and if this horse shows the kind of speed that he did last time out, he's going to be real tough.
We got Brittany against former Brittany, though, and D. Hopper, the 7, who I think is going to bring a lot of speed to the table. We've got a 10-pound apprentice rider here. Cespedes is going to come in and ride for Rudy Sanchez Salaman. 23.47, 113. Do you give still a little edge? Maximum Speed a little bit quicker than D. Hopper.
That's a really tough call because D. Hopper is very fast, and you would have to think on paper, D. Hopper's only chance to win this race is if he just zips to the front with the 10-pound apprentice and blinkers on and just tries to speed pop this field. So I think D. Hopper is going to be aggressively ridden out of there and try to make the lead. And he does have a few races on the go-back that make him interesting. The problem is he hasn't finished ahead of another horse in his last 2.
It's been tough. It's been tough. I think this pace is going to be very honest. I think the speeds can kind of hang around, but we've got the same kind of idea, but 2 different Katie Voss horses. I'll let you talk about the one, Longworth, your top selection here in race 5.
I wonder if Longworth is using this race as maybe a prep for something longer. We haven't seen this horse, it's 6 months since July, and his horse has mostly been on the turf. But the last time he did step on the dirt, it was off a bit of a layoff. It was going a 1-turn mile, and he ran a pretty decent second. I'm just hoping that maybe D. Hopper, Maximus Speed, they get hooked up in a quick pace duel, and Longworth can come at a big price in the stretch. You're going with the other Katie Voss train runner, Lucked In. You got a trainer stat.
I do have a stat, and I like this stat a lot. Smaller sample over 5 years, so you only got 5 for 19. Look at that, 26% route to sprints for Katie Voss. I really like this stat a lot. And Lucked In, who's from the family of some really nice horses, including Cordmaker, Viennese Waltz, and others. Last time out, the talent kind of showed. Had the trouble out of the gate. Has had a couple issues out of the gate in most recent starts. An extremely long sustained run against Return Fire. Now, granted, got the help early, 23-2, 47-1. But this guy, when he started picking it up and laying it down, leaving the far turn, he carried that run till about the 16th pole just to flatten. I like this turn back. We showed you the stat. I think Lucked In comes rolling late. Torrealba staying.
It's a really interesting move for Lucked In. The source, again, cutting back in distance. You mentioned the stat. Just hasn't shown that much speed early on because he hasn't been great from the gate. But I wouldn't be surprised if this little break, maybe, this horse becomes a little bit more mature and gets out of there a little bit better. I think this horse will be running on in the stretch. Let's quickly talk about the number 2 in here, Be a Sky Beam. I believe he's listed as a first-time gelding on the changes.
Yeah, I think this is a horse, too, that Dave Rodman likes coming in here. Hasn't been seen since February. New barn, Elliott Sullivan, shutoff start, 2 wide. Second Lasix, again, a horse that wants a little help, probably going to get it. Scary here. I think this horse does figure off the break for the new barn to make the run. Protected as well off the break.
We'll move on to race number 6, 7/8 of a mile. It's a condition claimer, 12,500 down to 10. Non-winners of 3 life. We'll scratch the 7, admit nothing. This is also the first leg of a 50-cent pick 4. So, hey, if you're out of the pick 5, you got a shot in the pick 4. It's a pretty wide open race, I thought, Keith. You can go so many different ways. I'm just going to throw my crazy long shot out there at the start. And that's the 2, JMR Speedy Escape, who started his career on turf and synthetic at Woodbine, and they ran him on dirt last time out at Penn National. He showed brief speed. He was down in the pocket. He was basically eased. He didn't run very well. The 5th place horse came back to place at Charlestown with a 48 buyer speed figure. here. I was hoping this track would come up a little bit wetter than it is, because Super Speedy, the sire, you wouldn't expect him to be a good wet track influence because they're all up in Canada. When do they ever get a chance to run on wet? 23% winners with wet track. And I think this horse can show a little bit of speed. He's at least shown it on the synth. I like that race 2 starts back.
7/8. Maybe he catches a breather and can clear off. And you're looking at who he faced last time. Did you not like Stormquist? That was the horse that won that day at Penn, came in for Kravitz. And I want to say he was your top selection last week in a race. So I know that horse is fast. That horse was in good form. He looks like really the speed in here. Beach Cowboy could possibly go, and I think Minister for Magic, a horse I have into the mix for Kieran McGee. First off, the claim had some issues out of the gate last time. I think he's a player within this group at 7/8 of a mile to be forward and stay around.
Speaking of issues out of the gate, we've got a video spotlight on Cajun Vibes, who is the number 5. Let's take a look at Cajun Vibes, breaking from post position 2 at Penn National, and just doesn't break very well. Just finds himself near the back of the pack, and that is not an ideal place to be, going 3/4 of a mile on a night where speed seemed to do very, very well. I liked how Cajun Vibes eventually tapered into split horses on the turn. We're going to see him make an inside advance, and then he's going to get to the outside, and he has no problems dusting off this field. He is much the best. He wins like an odds-on favorite should.
He did. He was very keen to move up behind runners, too, through the opening 1/4 of a mile, and he was a little fidgety in the gate as well. We didn't quite catch that. He was throwing his head about just prior to the gates being sprung, but he recovered. Very patient ride by Gonzalez. I like that. Worked outward for the top of the stretch home, and really striding out. This horse, the way he travels, looks like a horse that extra ground shouldn't be a hindrance, and had trouble last time out when it was raced here 7/8 of a mile. You see that steady start for why. A cleaner break, a relaxed opening 1/4. This horse can sustain a run, and this is a trainer we don't see a lot of. We're seeing more now, but Daniel Scatoliano, I'm sure I butchered that name, but the last 45 days, he's been running horses everywhere. 6 for 19, 32% with a tremendous ROI of over $5. Cajun Vibes, the in-form horse right now in race 6.
If you're a Beyer Speed Figure fan like I am, then I think the number 9 Borletti is a much used in here, because his last 2 figs make him a very strong contender in this race. And Ricky Silliman's starting to wake up a little bit. This is a very limited statistic, but it's also positive. The trainer stat for the number 9 Borletti between January the 1st and January the 26th, 2 for 10, a positive ROI. Borletti was wired by a favorite last time out, got a pretty nice ride from Angel Cruz, just was able to save ground every step of the way, came up the inside, still finished ahead of 2 next out winners. One of them went out to Mahoning Valley Shape Note and scored with an 80 Beyer Speed Figure. So I just think Borletti is very well entered in this race, and if there is some pace, this horse will run on at the end.
Yeah, I think I've chased him, and he's held value the last couple races. Maybe this is the field where he can kind of get over the top and get it done. I throw in the 8, Beach Cowboy. This horse, I believe, is very dangerous. Second off the claim, ran big for Kieran 2 races back, then had to hook the likes of Nancy Made My Day, Mr. Agent. Just a better field last time. Comes back today, dropping down 7/8. I think the flow is going to be right up his alley. He can relax through the opening half, be close enough, and then bring a finish from that 3/8 full home.
Good point about the quality of competition. He was in against Nancy Made My Day, came back, ran second with an 82 Beyer Speed Figure, and Beach Cowboy's another horse that is very tactical, second off the Rudy Sanchez Solomon claim. I really want to talk quick about What a Hard Man for Dead. Blinkers on. What an interesting move here for a horse that was listed as a vet scratch at Penn National on January the 8th. Is this distance just simply too sharp for him? Because he has spent the majority of his career going long.
He's made a couple interesting quick moves in races, you know, going around a ground and maybe to make that run through like an 1/8 of a mile part of the race, and then he can pick it back up and grind. Interesting move here with the blinkers on. We all like Tori Alba. See if this horse can settle a little bit. I'd like to see maybe a little bit longer, but 7/8 possibly if things really get heated up front.
Agaramese Puedes, who beat him last time out, came back to place with a 68 Beyer Speed Figure. Let's move on to race number 7. We're going a mile and a 16th. It's a first level allowance race for 4-year-olds and up. The number 2 Capcom, we'll see him later this weekend. He is back in on Sunday. This is the Brittany Brigade, the 3 Middleburg 5-2, Collier's Time, the number 7 3-1. I wouldn't be surprised if they're flip-flopped at post time.
Yeah, I mean, Collier's Time did have a little trouble, wasn't quite caught up there at Penn National last time out. Off a little slow, was kind of dragging the rider early, a little tap of the brakes through the backstretch run. Once it got out, just missed. 4 lengths clear of a next out winner. I do believe Collier's Time and Middleburg both have to pay close attention to her. Middleburg may be the thorn in the side of our top selection, the 5 Secret Zipper.
And we'll get to Secret Zipper in a second, but first we have a video spotlight for the 1A War Master, part of the Jamie Ness entry. And War Master last time out got wired by Sagrado Rey. This was kind of an odd race for me to look at because the fractions were pretty fast, but Sagrado Rey was able to get to the lead and control this pace throughout. Look at the ground War Master loses on the turn. 4 wide, goes 5 wide into the stretch, and is still trying hard to be second behind this runaway winner.
And had to be put to a drive early into the race, and to try to sustain into that, gained a little bit through the last 1/8 of a mile. This is a horse I've always liked for Jamie Ness. Is he a little bit better at one turn? Possibly. Another one could be victim of some flow, but I like the efforts this horse brings to the table. He's shown the ability to sustain runs. He's going to be in the mix for me.
You made a good point about Secret Zipper, our top pick, the number 5. Is Secret Zipper fast enough to make the lead? I think he is, and he's got a pretty strong trainer stat for a very good trainer in Gary Kapp. Last out winners, second after 2 to 4 month layoffs, 11 for the past 17, a $4.40 ROI. Secret Zipper has found his niche. That's going to the front and improving his position as he did last time out, beating a couple of next out winners. The runner-up returning to win a stateside allowance with a solid 82 buyer.
Yeah, and I do think that the form that he is in right now, if a horse like Middleburg decides to go ahead and go, and possibly a Virginia City just to the outside, I think Torrey Alba can get this guy to relax a little bit and finish up. Gary Kapp, second off of anything, is really good year in and year out. Tough right back here, especially the way he dusted Crossland.
Now, we saw Brittany with these connections win with going turf to dirt in a stakes race a couple of weeks ago. But when you see Bob Baffert running a horse on the turf so often, and that's not really his forte, is that sort of a black mark against a horse like Middleburg, who sold for $485,000, or is simply the lesser company here in Maryland going to help him?
I think it's going to help him a little bit, no doubt. I mean, look at the second start, 5.5 out to the mile. Now, granted, sometimes they have those longer run-ups. I know Delmar they do at the mile distance. Got caught in a little bit of a battle after 3/4 of a mile, a little bit of a fade. We've seen the horses when they ship over here, they jump up and improve. Yeah, I think he's going to bring it to Secret Zipper a little bit earlier, make him pay. I think Collection Day is going to like what he gets as well. This horse is a trier. He's got some really good races on his page. You look at him like, only 1 win out of 12, but this field is going to work for him. I like the company he's kept. Right there out of that Sagrada Rey race, I'll toss that. He drops inside. I think if this horse can get down to the inside, get a covered up trip, they're going to carry him a long way. He can finish at a mile and a 16th for Gorham and Mena.
Hot connections, tactical speed. Collier's Time's the other Brittany. We have a stat here on Collier's Time. Second after a 6-month to 1 year layoff, 5 for the last 12, 258 ROI. This horse ran very well, I thought, off the long layoff last time out. It was a slow-paced race. Look at those fractions, 25, 49, and 4. This horse is outside losing ground, is in with a big chance turning for home, and just falls short and finishes ahead of a horse that came back to win with a 78 buyer speed figure. Collier's Time, second off the layoff, might be ready to rumble.
Yeah, he couldn't get comfortable through that first almost half of a mile in that race. I went back and watched that rerun the other day. I think you're going to see an improved effort. And just if you can settle in the clear, relax, we'll finish up in today's 7th.
Let's move on to race number 8. It's our feature race of the day. Unfortunately, we have a couple of scratches in this 6-furlong allowance with a $55,000 claiming option. The 4 no cents, the 5 debit card. 1 had speed, 1 was the closer. They're both out. Now it makes it interesting. 7's 11, the number 7, is 3-1 on the morning line. 7's 11, we know. He has a lot of back class. This is a horse that was second in the General George behind post time last year. He just hasn't been very reliable recently, but maybe dropping in class in a short field, this is going to be his best chance in a long time.
It could. You're looking at a horse like 5 Dreams just to the inside. I think 7's 11. When he's right, is maybe a little bit quicker. But again, I'm going to go for the barn, jock combo here, X-Man along with Mr. Antonelli. We both like this horse for Diane Marici. The little freshening, the works leading in this are very good. Yes, stepping up in a condition, but kind of a now horse for me. Was able to sit and make that run into Tenebrae. Very fast internals last time out back in November. They both come out of that race freshened up for this. Could we see a repeat?
He showed a lot of guts in that race because you mentioned the pace was fast and he was chasing outside for a brief second at the 5/16. It looked like they were getting away from him. And then he just kept grinding and grinding and found more and was able to get away from them at the end. With the scratches, the pace should not be as fast. He can be a little bit more relaxed and might not have to work as hard to get to the front. But let's talk about Tenebris because that speed he showed last time out, it was nice to see. We hadn't seen it in a few races.
Broke my heart. I liked him that day at a 15-1. He was a value play that afternoon. A little interesting. This kind of break has not been the best for this trainer, but this guy's got some races over this racetrack that would, that would win this race if he comes back in form. Maybe hinted at it last time. We'll see if the freshening did him a little bit more good. I'm using them in here, and I think you got to use the 1 Murray going 3rd time gelding for DePaz.
Listed as a horse to watch on our handicapping guide, free every racing day, laurelpark.com/picks. Murray last time out rallied very well to be second. He was ahead of 3 next out winners with the 6th place horse coming back to win with a 92 Beyer speed figure. Now he did take advantage of a fast second quarter, 22.84, but this horse has just been banging on the door.
Yeah, look at that. Witty on the mark, factor it in. They're not in here. So this looks like a nice little shape up, even with the scratches. I know No Sense was going to be part of that flow, but if the 2 and the 3 go ahead and go, Murray holding that form now, back on it, 3rd time gelding, can slide into position around the turn and bring a charge.
Let's move on to the finale, race number 9, 25 down to 20 maiden claimers. Maryland breds have the 30,000 claiming option. We're going 5.5 furlongs, and the 2 main protagonists are coming out of the same race at Parks. That's the 7 Malibu, the 3 Key Stat. Key Stat got the better of Malibu that day, but let's watch that race in our video spotlight. Key Stat against Malibu, and as we see, Malibu is going to get the jump on Key Stat turning into the stretch. I think he had to work a little bit hard raiding back off of the lead and then going after this leader. Maybe that set him up, but Key Stat ran really well. He was a little bit, it took him a while to change leads, but he's trying on the stretch.
Absolutely, and these two, they have the positional speed that's going to work in race 9 at the 5.5 furlongs. I lean just a touch, and Malibu to go ahead and get the jump. I think an interesting horse in here is Super Lasting Secret for Damon Dilladovico. I like the run last time. Back to the main track at 7/8 of a mile, pop move into an okay flow. Sarah Del Fabro just might get on the board.
I think this horse ran a much improved race last time out. I realize he was beaten 10, but it's always great to see the improved early speed from an inexperienced horse. It's almost like the light bulb is starting to come on, and the horse that beat him came right back to win at Penn with a 64 Beyer speed figure. Let's talk a little bit about Damon's first-time starter, the number 1 Cool Train. This horse has a strong series of workouts leading up to the debut. He's Beyer redeemed. Inside is always a little bit quirky for a 5.5 furlong race with a first-time starter. Maybe we'll see some speed out of this one.
A little bit late to the races, but fooled a Patriarch Party who did win second
nice
out.
horse.
So I tabbed the total a little bit on Cool Train. I go a little bit to the outside with Carolina Flake for Katie Voss by Air Force Blue. Family there. Saltworks, 1 second out, top of a 68. Lone Sibling, 0 for 2, but a good second in debut in New York at Saratoga with an okay fig. So late to the races as well. Here, a 4-year-old. See if the patience pays off for these firsters.
And the dam is a half to a horse named Catherine Sophia, who won the Kentucky Oaks. So we got some pedigree here for Carolina Flake, the number 8 in the finale. It's time for our best plays on this Friday card. Keith, take it away.
We go later in this card. We're going to go to Mr. Antonelli. What is that? Race number 8. The 2-horse, Diane Marici. Barn still holding. I mean, they are going on and winning races in bunches. The horses are knocking at the door. If they're not winning, they're running second or third. So Mr. Antonelli for me. X-Man is back, a freshening. I think he's going to make that next step up into the 3 other condition, make it a winning one. Spy the speed. Or if Tenebrae just isn't super sharp and getting away like last time, I could see him go ahead and go secure the inside and take it coast to coast.
He's a real game horse as well, and the barn's been going good. I'm going to go race number 4, the 6. Fancy Princess, horse returning from Penn National, is a proven commodity here at Laurel Park. Good tactical speed, a horse that can run on any footing. And I think because these connections are sort of low profile, the price will be okay. Any closing words? Nice 9-race card.
Yeah.
We have to keep an eye on the weather, some clouds, but you know something? I wouldn't be surprised if we get some prices today.
I agree. I think you're going to see a couple things kind of jump up out of nowhere, maybe 11, 12 to 1. You talk about your horse from Woodbine shipping in the speed off of that race at Penn National probably to get to the front. Your value play here, Fancy Princess, I think holds value. My horse, my best play, Mr. Antonelli, definitely going to come way down off of that morning line, unfortunately, because of those couple scratches. But interesting card. I think you just got to link together a couple 3 to 1 shots, 4 to 1 shots. You're going to have some healthy dividends at the end.
Kelly Francois, Mackenzie Pfeiffer, Dave Robin, and I will be back in the afternoon to guide you through the races. Let's head on up to the announcer's booth. Dave Rodman with scratches and changes.
All right, good luck.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Laurel Park, where the track condition is fast. Some light rain in the area now, winds out of the south at 5 miles per hour, temperature in the mid-40s. Here's a look at the Laurel Park changes for your 9-race card. In the first race, to kick off the 12% value pick 5, 50-cent pick 5, scratch 7, what's your big idea? First race, scratch the 7. Second race, scratch the 6, Kilo Road. Second race, scratch 6. Third race, scratch 4, Schrader. Scratch 5, Riley's Rockstar. 4 and 5, scratch, race 3. Fourth race, start of the Chesapeake pick 6. No changes. Fifth race. Number 2, Be a Sky Beam. First time gelding, number 2. Scratch number 9, Air Speed. In the 6th, scratch 7, Admit Nothing. 6th race, scratch the 7. 7th race, scratch 2, Capcom. 7th race, scratch the 2, Capcom. 8th race, scratch 4, No Sense. Scratch 5, Debit Card. 4 and 5 out of race 8. 9th race, no changes. Following the 9th race, 3 races from Palermo, Argentina. American Racing Channel simulcast action. Jackpot High 5 race, the 6th race, carryover 2,643. Chesapeake pick 6, carryover $3,241. First race kicks off that early value pick 5. Value pick 5, 12% takeout, mandatory payout. And the early pick 5, late pick 5, has carryover potential in the value pick 5, both with 12% takeout rates. 23 minutes to post time. Good luck this afternoon at Laurel Park.